Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance, also writing as Jennifer K. Lambert. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. This is delicious. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. And I don't know, I know that, like they, the ubiquitous they, say that we should be consistent above all else. Um, Inconsistent little me. I'm still waffling on whether to change this from Mondays and Fridays to Tuesdays and Fridays. Uh, a lot of times on Monday after the weekend, I feel like I don't have that much to say. And also sometimes I'm traveling. So, but anyway, I feel like you, my lovely followers, you are here for the, I am not articulate, am I? You're here. We're here. We talk together. I think you get the notification. It pops up and it tells you. And that's probably what you do rather than looking for it at a particular daytime. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I keep going back and forth on this. As I said, um, I had a lovely, lovely time at Fan Fusion. It was amazing. I really had a great time. And one of my favorite things is meeting people, you, who listen to this podcast or watch this podcast. Uh, like I can see the numbers, although longtime listeners will know that I deliberately do not look at numbers. Like they send me notifications and graphs and things that I should share, like, oh, your podcast had so many listens. But because I put this in so many places, I don't know my full numbers because I know a lot of you watch via YouTube, a lot of you watch via Instagram, Facebook, um, you know, the ones that go through the actual podcast services. I know some of you only listen. Maybe some of you only watch. And I do have one friend that I know for sure only reads the transcript, excuse me, um, because she can't be bothered to watch and listen. So she skims the podcast to get like my three nuggets of actual information amidst the blathering. But anyway, it was so great to meet people who, like, say, I listen to your podcast and I have my cup of coffee with you. And how great is that? One of the funny things about being out as Jennifer K. Lambert now is, and actually, what I should do is I should show the book again. I did a special video of it. Watch me as I caress this book. I did a special video of it on Thursday, the unboxing, but it doesn't hurt to show this gorgeous, gorgeous book more than once. We might just have to do it every podcast. And my friend Kelly Robson gently chastised me. Actually, she just encouraged me to take off the jacket because I didn't think to do that. So here we are undressing the book. Look at this, the case stamp. It's got the gold rose embossed on it and the gold embossing on the spine, and it is unbelievably beautiful. So I had this with me, and this was the fondle copy. And one really nice moment at my signing was when I told the gal that she could fondle it, and people were being very respectful about not touching it till I said, this copy is for fondling. And she picked it up and eagerly fondled it. And her partner with her, this very tall guy, laughed. And I said, "Are you laughing at us?" And he said, "Oh, no, I'm a nerd." And I thought, that encompasses everything, right? So just in case you didn't see the unboxing, here are the stenciled edges with Onira's house. Beautiful. And then the purple rose at the bottom. And then on the bottom pages are the purple roses. And at the top, the purple sky with stars. And we have the end pages with the same gold rose. And beautiful, beautiful inside and the maps. And it is just an incredibly beautiful book. And it was really a testament to the power of a beautiful book. Uh, I'll just keep holding it up so that the light catches the gold embossing. Oops, sorry. Or I'll throw it through my wind chimes. Uh, how many people saw the cover and said, I have to have this book. And we even had conversations about don't judge a book by its cover. So what was funny is I was there as Jennifer K. Lambert, my new name, and it's a transparent pen name, but nobody knows that I'm Jennifer K. Lambert yet, right? So I'm going to move this camera over just a little bit. There we go. I feel like I'm looking off to the side. Yeah, that's better. Um, so I was only on the program as Jennifer K. Lambert, and there was no mention of Jeffe Kennedy anywhere. Their bookshop had Jeffe Kennedy books, but I had so many people coming up to me and going, I looked for you everywhere and I couldn't find you. And then finally I found it under Jennifer K. Lambert or vice versa. There was one guy, a podcast listener, um, and I'm going to blank on your name. Is it Adam? Came up and was saying that he has been listening to the audiobooks on YouTube and also to this podcast. Hi. And he was like, I saw you on the escalator and I didn't know you were going to be here, but I was like, that's Jeffe Kennedy. And then I looked in the program and you're not here. So, yeah, it's funny. And on panels and stuff, people were like calling me Jennifer. So many of you know this, but it never hurts to reiterate that my name is Jennifer. I was born, baptized, what have you, Jennifer. But I've been called Jeffe my entire life. It was a nickname that my dad made up. And so I've pretty much gone by Jeffe my entire life. There were brief excursions. I tried for a little while being Jennifer instead. You know, you try on different identities, but I didn't really care for it. Um, I don't, there's a lot of Jennifers in my generation. I am slightly older than most generations. I am older than all the generations. I'm slightly older than most of the Jennifers, but not by a whole lot, by like a year or two. But there's a lot of Jennifers, and many of us, there's sort of like a Jennifer diaspora into various nicknames and other, um, yeah, iterations of Jennifer. So at any rate, I have long joked when people asked me what they should call me. I will say, call me Jeffe, because that's really what I am accustomed to answering to. And I would say only telemarketers and the IRS call me Jennifer. And now this has changed. Not only is like my long-standing joke no longer relevant, but I need to learn to respond to Jennifer. So like when the moderator calls on me on the panel and says Jennifer, and I'm like spacing out, no, I need to reply. So it's an exercise. It was funny to be out as this other person. Response to, no, not another person. I should correct my thinking on that. It's me. Here I am. I am Jennifer Lambert. I need a t-shirt. So anyway, it was fun to see the response to this book. People are so enthusiastic. I had 3 boxes of ARCs. I came home with 1 extra ARC, and that was entirely because I had saved one out for this gal, and I was supposed to meet her, and I went and met her. It was at the very end of the con, and she was gone. So I know that those of you who are really wanting ARCs, I apologize that I told you I was out because I only saved out that one. And yeah. So anyway, the other thing that I have is I received a box of the galleys. Hang on just a second. I have piles of boxes in my office. This needs to change. I have these, I forget what they call them. it's the same interior as the arc. It just doesn't have the cover, and it has a little less information. But it is a paper arc, and so we are opening up the ARC team applications again. Assistant Corrine has opened up the Google form, and so some of you have contacted me through various social media. You can contact her through my website or on social media. She's Sullivan McPig. I think you can find links most anywhere, or ping me and I'll try to reply. So yeah, we've got a few of these things. So might as well get them out because soon they'll be obsolete. Let's see, what else do I have to tell you? Oh, I wanted to tell you about a funny conversation I had with a friend of mine um, who has really interesting perspectives on stuff. Isn't that great when you like make new friends and they teach you new ways of looking at the world? So many of you longtime listeners know that I have this, that I talk about being a woman and being a writer. And I stand by this part absolutely, that there you have to defend your writing space. I had one gal, actually it's why I was slightly late meeting the gal at the end of the con who didn't get her arc. I thought she'd wait for me, but she did not. Um, but I was like 12 minutes late. But it was partly because I was talking to this gal, young gal, who came up to my signing table at the very end and had her mother with her, standing slightly back. And I think her mother had egged her on to ask me. But this gal was asking me the age old, perennial, ubiquitous, it's twice for that word in this podcast. That's $10 right there. Many of you will get that joke. I won't explain. Uh, the question of that she's not getting her writing done, right? That she wants to write, but she just doesn't. And her mother's kind of standing behind her, making gestures and mouthing like she's a wonderful writer. And this girl's like, my professors say I write a good story. And her mom's like the Greek chorus cheerleader on behind. Uh, but yeah, she wanted to know how, and I had like a few minutes, right? I'm packing up my table and I have a few minutes to give her this advice that I like have spent however many years doing this podcast. It's like, what is this season? Well, it really doesn't matter, does it? But I think we're on like season 8 or something like that. Um, let's just check. I'm sure all of you know better than I do. Yeah, it's season 8. So 8 years of doing this podcast and a whole lot of it talking about how do you get yourself to write. So condense that down to like 3 minutes as I'm packing up and kind of aware that I'm supposed to go meet this gal. And um, so, I said to her my typical advice, that you're not going to find the time. You have to make the time. And she kind of rolled her eyes and she said, I have a lot of time. And it's like, well, still, it's the same that you have to carve out that time, right? And I said, I know some people can't do it, but for me it worked, and it worked for a lot of people. Write every day at the same time every day. You have to be there, even if it's only 15 minutes. You're there, you do the writing. I made a rule for myself when I was first doing that I could write whatever I wanted, but I had to write during that time. And really, and I said, you have to hold your own feet to the fire. There's no trick to it. There's no getting around it. There's no shortcuts. You have to just do it. And I said, think of it as a character building exercise. You will grow as a human being by learning how to do this, how to do the focused, concentrated work to move your writing forward. Uh, and I do think that it can be, she was unusual in that she said she had lots of time. I don't know what was going on in her life, but she did seem like she was a little bit at loose ends, maybe. So, but many people do not have lots of time, right? You're occupied with all sorts of obligations, including probably one or more paying jobs, right? Because your writing is not going to pay you at first. Uh, and women, I think, in particular, have demands on their time and are uh, meticulously programmed to put other people before themselves, as a general rule. So that as soon as somebody says, I want you to do this thing for me or be there for me, it's easy to let go of what feels like a selfish enterprise where you're by yourself staring at a computer screen or at a notebook or possibly just out the window, which is part of it, right? So I often talk about that I have this fantasy of being like the male creators in movies, where they have the temper tantrum because somebody moved a stack of paper, that I feel like, like this is probably unbalanced behavior, which is what my friend pointed out to me. But I love that men have this ability, like through programming or through biology or whatever it is, where they feel much more comfortable telling other people to F off and, you know, don't move my papers, don't make any noise. They're much more willing to defend what they're doing. They don't regard it as selfish in the same way that women are prone to do. And I know I'm doing a binary there, but I feel like that's part of those programmed binary gender roles. So anyway, I was telling my new friend this, because I was bothered that I'd had my writing interrupted last week, and I was saying that about my standard story. I guess I have my set pieces, right? That I envy the male writers in movies, and he said, hopefully those male writers only exist in movies. And I thought, because he's a man, and he works with a lot of creative people, and has studied a lot of creators. And I thought, wow, no one has ever said that to me when I have told that story. And I think it was really just such an excellent and valid point, right? That kind of behavior isn't appropriate. Building a fence around your writing and guarding it and prioritizing it is great. Throwing a temper tantrum is not so great, right? And yeah, so I'm loving that evolution of the idea of the concept. And it reminds me of a quote I read a long time ago, and I know I reshared it, but I don't remember who said it now, so I can't credit it. But I thought that it was really useful saying that your boundaries don't have to be like a barbed wire fence topped with razor wire. That they can simply be a bright and shining light that says, I am worthwhile, that what I am doing is important and worth protecting. And I love that idea. Some of you who've been listening a while know that I've been learning more about boundaries. And I feel like there's more information out there about boundaries, that the boundaries are the things you set for yourself. So instead of trying to tell everyone in your household, don't you dare move this stack of paper. Don't you dare make noise while I'm trying to create. Instead, you control your own world, your own boundaries around it, where you're like, I will not respond to noises during my writing time. If someone tries to stop me from writing, unless it is a medical emergency, I will tell them to wait an hour. And I feel like that's such a useful way to come at this. So, and I wanted to do a shout out to Brittany Arena, who I just met. Her book, Dance of Lies, is out today. Happy book birthday. It looks really good. She's sending me a copy, and I'm excited to read it. So, yeah, on that note, I'm going to try to get some writing done. And I will talk to you all on Friday. You all take care. Bye bye.